Azam Part 398. A final safeguard was provided by the application of the device adopted in the Congress Constitution. No bill or resolution affecting a community should be proceeded with if 3/4 of the representatives of that community were opposed to it. These were far more substantial concessions than Muslim had been given by Morley and Minto to secure their acquiescence in the reforms of 1909, and the League on its side acquiesced in the joint proposals for a further liberalization of the consuls. The cardinal points of the Congress League scheme, as it was called, may be summarized as follows. Number one, the provinces should be freed as much as possible from central control in administration and finance. Number two, 4/5 of the central and provincial legislative councils should be elected and 1/5 nominated. Number three, not less than half the members of the central and provincial government should be elected by the elected member of their respective legislative councils. Number four, the governments, central and provincial, should be bound to act in accordance with the resolution passed by their legislative councils, unless they were voted by the Governor General and or governors in council. And in that event, if the resolution were passed again after an interval of not less than 1 year, if should in any case be put into effect. Number five, the Central Legislative Council should have no power to interfere with the Government of India's direction of the military affairs and the foreign and political relations of India, including the declaration of war, the making of peace, and entering into treaties. Number six, the relations of the Secretary of State with the Government of India should be similar to those of Colonial Secretary with the governments of the Dominions, and India should have an equal status with that of the Dominions in any body concerned with the imperial affairs. This scheme was proof that the Indian politician's mind was not purely critical and unconstructive, but it had one major defect on account of which it never materialized. It did nothing to remedy the inherent weakness of the purely representative government. On the contrary, it aggravated it by giving the elected majorities much greater power to embarrass and obstruct their governments without being able to remove those governments and shoulder their responsibility themselves. Whatever the strength of their opposition, those governments, most of whose members would not be chosen by or accountable to them, would remain in charge of the whole field of administration. While therefore the scheme was an encouraging manifestation of Hindu-Muslim accord in the work of advancing Indian self-government, it could not be assumed that in Muslim supporters had conquered their distrust of the representative principle. On balance, the real power would still be exercised not by the leaders of Hindu or Muslim majorities, but by the neutral officials who at any time, at any rate as long as India had not attained the same status as Dominion, would still be under the ultimate control of the distant and neutral parliament. The agreement on the scheme was unquestionably a triumph for the Indian nationalism, and the Congress accompanied its adoption with a plea that the British government should declare its intention to confer self-government on India at an early date, and that any reconstruction of the imperial system, India shall be lifted from the position of a dependency to that of an equal partner in empire with the self-governing dominions. Now I have got appendix to chapter number 5. Appendix number 1, the elections of 1937. With able leaders, an effective organization, and simple yet attractive programs, the Congress won a notable victory at the polls early in 1937. One of the 1,585 seats in the provincial legislature The Congress contested 1,161 and won 716. Number 2. The Number 1, there were total 1,585 seats. Congress contested for 1,161 and she got the victory in 716 constituencies. The Congress victory is all the more impressive when it is borne in mind that